Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willis, your host. Thank you so kind of being a part of the show. We had a great show, or we're going to have a great show for you today. Just came back racing from in town, Houston, doing the KPFT show. And guess what? I did raise my quota at the end by the skin of my teeth. I raised the number I had to raise at KPFT today. So I am a happy camper. Now I just need to raise it for Politics Done Right in Kingwood. I did it in Houston. Now I need to do it in Kingwood. Come on, guys. Please sign up for get my book, sign up for my stuff. Anyhow, we're going to have a great show for you today. Tom C. is in the house. Paul Fleming is in the house. Eric Hayes is in the house. And of course, my second round of Bridge MCP. How you doing, my beautiful Bridge MCP and AVQ? As usual, he's over the limit. Can't read them all. I'll read the beginning of them. Let's go ahead and get started. Tech Times. GM deliver an Ultium battery pack for military EVs. U.S. Armed Forces to adapt clean energy too. General Motors is creating a prototype for the U.S. military needs, and it will focus on delivering lithium batteries. Now, what is UITM? Did you mean lithium? I don't know. Is that something I don't know about? Battery packs for electric vehicles that the troops will use in its transition. It is a massive step for the U.S. military to replace its service vehicles for garrison operational environments, aiming to utilize clean energy and reduce fossil fuel. The U.S. is going through change towards clean energy, and its troops are a part of it. The GM delivering on battery packs, these are going to be used in light reconnaissance vehicles such as Jeeps, Humvees, and MRAPs, mine-resistant ambush protected vehicles. Department of Defense, he said, the climate change is a national security threat, so they are preparing for a future where they can't be reliant on fossil fuels. Perhaps the macho tough guys who buy trucks will start buying civilian versions soon. We hope. All right, Al Jazeera, Ukraine, Russia live news. Kiev says 11 killed by missile attack. Ukrainians across the country are taking shelter after Russian military attack on cities including Kiev, Lviv, and Dnipro. French President Emmanuel Macron said the deliberate strikes by Russia over the whole of Ukraine territory and against civilians, it's a profound change in the nature of the war. It's a war crime. But you know what I find ironic? Putin got pissed off because the Ukrainian had the nerve. And by the way, I don't give a damn about. I don't want any other country to be able to invade another country like Russia did. But I have no love lost for Ukraine or Russia for that matter, because as we know, they all have their issues. You know what I mean? But yes, I believe in democracy, and whoever has the best democracy, who knows? All right. But anyhow, Russia goes and he blows up a nuclear near a nuclear plant. He blows up buildings. He blows up train stations. He blows up all kinds of stuff in Ukraine. He decimates cities, right? He tore cities down, turned cities into rubble. And the Ukrainian blew up one bridge. And it drives Russia crazy. How could you do that? Wait a minute. I'm blowing up a bridge that connects Russia to the land you stole called, what is it called again? To the land you stole from Russia? Crimea? Come on, man. I sit down and wonder sometimes, what the hell are these guys thinking? And not only that, why don't the media, I heard the media say, oh, the Ukrainians did it, Russia's mad. Why didn't they say, what give Russia the right to be mad at Ukraine blowing up something after Russia decimated city after city after city? I don't know. Por favor, explícamelo, por favor. Okay, next one, The Hill. U.S. purchases $290 million of drugs for use in radiological and nuclear emergencies. Leadership means realizing potential threats and tangibly preparing for bad outcomes. That said, this is worrisome, especially live in a prime destruction zone. Yeah. And Michael, you're in New York. Yeah. If Russia aim a missile, it's coming to you, brother. I'm in Houston. It's coming to me too, man. Alabama Daily News. I saw that stuff about Tuberville and what he did, the racial slur that he did. Tuberville Dems back reparations for those who do the crime. Tuberville remarks about reparations played into racist stereotypes about black people committing crimes. They're not soft on crime. Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville said of Republican during a Trump rally, they're pro-crime. They want crime. They want crime because they want. I'm playing that tomorrow, so I'm not going to read the whole thing, but suffice it to say, the trope is that, black folk want reparation, but since they haven't been awarded reparation for their free labor throughout this country, and when they say black people, they mean descendants of slaves. Since they didn't get their reparation, they're going to steal your reparation. I'm going to be honest with you, okay? When America came to the United States, or came to what was this land, as I recall, they didn't ask for permission. I don't believe that. Well, that's not that I don't. That trope that guy uses wrong, right? But it's amazing how when one side wrongs the other, and the other side tries to recover some of that wrong or retaliate for that wrong, the one who did the original wrong somehow feels like, how could you possibly do that to me? The heights of entitlement, right? The heights of entitlement, folks. Last week tonight had a great segment about how news reporting covers crime yesterday. That would be an excellent follow-up after Egberto's live stream. Anytime you give me one of those, it turns out to be a damn good one. I want to check it out after. Absurd crime stories in the news make people worried about statistically unlikely scenarios repeating against each other. I know, because a lot of times when you have these crimes, right, there are crimes within families, crime within groups, crime within gangs, and they try to make everybody believe that there's statistically higher risk of a crime because crime has gone up in particular areas. It's amazing. All right, last one from Rudnan says, Bernie Sanders says Democrats ignoring economy before midterms would be political malpractice, which it is. That's what they're not blaming appropriate blame where blame is due. While highlighting his lifetime 100 pro-choice voting record and its outrage over U.S. Supreme Court reversal of Wake, Bernie also wrote that leading up to the November election, I'm alarmed to hear that advice that many Democrats candidates are getting from establishment consultants and directors of well-funded super PACs that the closing argument for Democrats should only be abortion. It's crazy. I am not going to. I disagree with this. I disagree. The senator explained. In my view, read that article because I got a lot of videos to show. Read that article, but it's ridiculous, man. I have always said that the consultants in Washington, they've never gone to the hood. They've never gone to Appalachia. They've never gone to the barrios. They've never gone to communities to see what people really are asking, want, or whatever. And since Rudnan bring that, the first one I'm going to show is actually then from Jen Psaki, because Jen Psaki really got on these elitist journalists on this particular issue. I think it's in here, right? Let's see. Yeah, Jen Psaki, is that here for? There we go. I want you to check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side. As we've spoken about many times here on Politics Done Right, the mainstream media seem to never have the particular issues that are at the hand of most Americans. You know, most of the times they're into the weeds on the things that they think is important. And a lot of that has to do with they not being in concert. They're not being of the community as many local entities would be. I want you to listen to how Jen Psaki very, very subtly says this. And I found it amazing because here she goes from being White House press secretary into punditry. And the first job that one of the first things that she does is she scolds them, even if ever so slightly. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side, because I found it quite fascinating in the manner in which she did it. Check this out.
President Biden and his wild week, from the decision by OPEC to cut oil production, Jen, to these revelations at the end of the week in the Washington Post that investigators believe they do have enough evidence to charge Hunter Biden. It's not clear he's going to be charged, but how large is this looming over the president, over Democrats broadly?
Well, it was a big week here in Washington. So much news. I don't even know how you decided what to talk about this morning, Kristen, but the truth is, I looked at a bunch of local front pages this morning. And if you look at the front page in Nevada, they're talking about Trump's rally there and what it means for candidates and turning out the vote. If you look at the front pages in Pennsylvania, they're talking about Mastriano. Does he have a grassroots campaign or movement going? And obviously, Georgia is quite focused on every latest development in Herschel Walker. So the truth is, as much as there was so much news happening in Washington this week, it doesn't always translate, and often doesn't translate to what voters are talking about in states. And I think that's what we're seeing currently.
Amazing. And she did it with a smile. I mean, I wonder how many people got that. The question was about Hunter Biden and other issues. And what did Jen Psaki said? Are you guys crazy? Is that what you really talk about? Hey, Kirsten, with all these things, I don't know how you guys decided what subjects you're going to talk about. But you know what? When I read the local newspapers all over the country, nobody is talking about what you guys in Washington really want to push out there. What's wrong with the picture? Jen Psaki did it without even, in other words, saying, don't talk to me about Hunter Biden. Don't talk to me about issues that really most people don't care about. Let's talk about something that really, really matters to those who really are going to be voting. I hope she got the cue, and I think she did, because the host seemed a bit embarrassed by the response from Jen Psaki, because as usual, these guys on the national, and it's not Kirsten that's a problem. It's really the producers behind the scenes who have no idea what's really occurring in America. We spend a lot of... Absolutely so, folks. Absolutely so. Anyway, Paul Fleming is in the house. He says, ATL checking in. And we have Tom C., who says, got COVID flu vaccine yesterday and feeling a bit under the weather today. Glad I got them, though. Hey, man, I did the last one, my fifth vaccine, which is a third booster. I did that last week. I didn't get hit. My wife got hit hard. My daughter was really, really tired. We were going out to take her out for her birthday dinner that day. And she went, but you could see how tired the vaccine made her. The day after, though, is when it really almost terrorized my wife. She went to church, came home, crashed for hours. But after that, everything was back to normal. So that means the immune system had a response to it, which I think is important. Let's see. I'm on the phone. Great to see you, my dear, beautiful Alistair Waters. Let's see. Eric Hayes says $20K for new battery pack seem reasonable for a car worth only $25K. What a ripoff. It's a big ripoff. But I want to remind you of something, right? By the way, a lot of that comes from your guys, right? Elon Musk. I mean, they're the ones who rip you off. By the way, I hope you feel the same way about paying $2,500 for a CAT scan when we could have good Medicare healthcare for all that can, reduce all these costs without having profits in there. That guy in a capitalist system, is perfect for him to charge $20K. And if people buy it, hey, that's what it's worth. In a capitalist system, that's how it goes, man. It's a robbery. You're right. All right, Alistair Waters says, love me some Jen Psaki. I hear you, girlfriend. Maywood says, good afternoon, everybody, or everyone. Eric K says, Youngkin, yes, a model on how to do it right. A model on how to lie effectively. Because for those who don't know, it's easy to get across that, Trump was a horrendous liar. People knew he lied, but they just wanted to stick it to the list. But this Youngkin guy is good. This Youngkin guy is really good. All right, Eric Hayes, I'm sure the military can afford $25K per. The civilian version will be lower cost. Of course it will be. All right. Bridge MCP says, Egberto Willie saw some of your radio show while I was reading a letter from my secondary insurance. They are not changing kind of and automatically enrolling me in Medicare Part D. through my secondary insurance. Very weird, not understanding. But look, just don't get Medicare Part C. I think that is the one that's called Medicare Advantage. Medicare Advantage. I have a video that I did. I interviewed somebody at the studio today who said, whose wife, after doing the research, says, stay away from Medicare Advantage. It's a death wish in the future. In other words, if you get cancer, if you get a whole lot of other diseases, the thing that you want to be as far away from as possible is Medicare Advantage. They continue with their thuggery with Medicare Advantage. So please stay away from Part C, which I think is, let me look that up because I don't like to give bad information. And for this Medicare stuff, I want to be sure. Is Medicare Advantage Part D? Part C. I think it's Part C. Let's make sure. Medicare Part C, Medicare from, Medicare Part C explained. Look it up for me. It's going to take me off. Yeah, Advantage. It looks like it's Medicare Advantage. But check it out again just to be sure. Okay, is Medicare Part C the same as Medicare Advantage was the question. It says Medicare Advantage is another way to get Medicare Plan A and Plan B coverage. Medicare Advantage plan, sometimes called Part C. So yes. Or MA plans. Don't go to the MA plans. They are a ripoff. They are a death sentence if you get certain types of diseases. Thank you, Alistair, for telling me Crimea. Eric says, Egberto, don't forget to mention Biden's Armageddon jargon. What? Why would I forget? Why would I care about what Biden said about Armageddon, which is a truthful statement? An absolutely truthful statement. Michael Running says, blowing up an enemy's escape route is a bad tactical play. I don't think Ukraine blew up that bridge. You know what, though? I am not sure because that bridge connects Russia to Crimea. I doubt that this war is going to have the Ukrainians trying to push Russia out of Crimea. I am not sure if that's going to happen, right? And maybe they want to lock them in. They blow them to smithereens like they did with the island, right? Paul Fleming says they blew up their own bridge. It's their land. Okay. All right. What else we got here? Bridge says it's what common people do when in a war with a superpower. You have to fight with whatever you can. Absolutely right. Young black men made Tuberville rich and famous through athletics as he forgets who made him. He forgets, But you have to realize when these guys are coaching these guys, they don't really give a damn about them. They're just bodies. Just bodies. Merwood says, I was trying to read and like the article when I somehow booted out myself. LOL, sorry. E2247 is in the house. Maywood is in the house. Sharon Squassoni, co-chair of the Bulletin Science and Security Board, said, clearly the North Koreans are upset about resumption of U.S. and Republic of Korea exercise, but that's not the same. Okay. Putin's ally, Dmitry Medvedev, renewed nuclear threats last week. Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov said Russia should consider using a low-yield nuclear bomb. These guys don't have a clue. All right, let's see what else we got here before I go to the other video. Peggy Lopez is in the house. She says, I'm late again. But you're here, girl. You're here. Michael says Hunter Biden is a non-story. I agree, and I won't read the rest. What else we got here? Peggy Lopez says satellite images show leak from Nord Stream pipeline of potent greenhouse gas leaking at a rate of 174,000 pounds per hour. Wow. Carl Cox says conservatives will use any excuse to avoid talking about mega-rich corporations and their lack of responsibility when it comes to taxes and the common good. Eric Hayes says must to change Twitter forever being fair. If you believe that, then I have a London bridge to sell you. Medicare Advantage is private health care. You're correct, Bridge MCP. Alistair Water says Medicare Advantage is Part C. You're correct, Alistair Water. I looked it up. And Julius Robinson, Ukraine did not build that bridge. Putin did, yes. Putin built the bridge, and the Ukraine built a lot of buildings that Putin is blowing up to pieces. So I think the tit for tat here, I don't know. Peggy Lopez says Medicare Advantage enriches insurance companies and kill us old folks. They will not get rid of me of their advantage. I plan on staying a gadfly. You go, girl. I know what you mean. All right. Our second video is what I spoke about earlier, Governor Youngkin. I want you to check this out, then we'll take it on the other side. I watched Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin today on SOTU, State of the Union with Jake Tapper. And one of the things that I really came to the conclusion of rather quickly is that when it comes to policy and when it comes to the ability to win over people, and when it comes to the idea of the possibility of being elected, I found it, when you put all the pieces together, this is a guy that actually can appear mainstream, but is really no different than any MAGA Republican. And in fact, he knows how to triangulate well. When it comes to comparing him with somebody like DeSantis wouldn't stand a chance, especially based on the moves that he's making, even with the help of Liz Cheney. I want you to play this, and then I'll close exactly what I'm talking about and explain the danger of this guy in a minute. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
You're very popular on the campaign trail right now. Lots of governors, Republican governors and candidates bringing you in. You're headed to Arizona to campaign for Republican gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake, who has repeatedly denied the fact that you accept that Joe Biden was lawfully, legally, and legitimately elected in 2020. Kari Lake has also said if she had been governor, she would not have certified the election, unlike Governor Ducey, your contemporary right now, Republican. Congresswoman Liz Cheney takes issue with you supporting Kari Lake. Take a listen.
Governor Youngkin in Virginia is doing a good job. I think that he's demonstrated that he's somebody who has not bought into the toxin of Donald Trump, but he campaigned recently for Kari Lake, who's an election denier, who is dangerous, and that's the kind of thing we cannot see in our party.
You haven't gone to Arizona yet, but you were about to. But what's your response? Because I do think that there are a lot of reasonable, pragmatic, fact-based Republicans who are disappointed that you're doing this.
In order for us to press forward in the Republican Party, we in fact need to do that. Look forward, not backwards. And what I found in Virginia was that we could bring together forever Trumpers and never Trumpers and libertarians and Tea Party members. And oh, by the way, lots of independents and lots of Democrats. And I think that the Republican Party has to be a party where we are not shunning people and excluding them because we don't agree on everything. We just don't agree on everything. But what we can agree on is that, in fact, in states led by Republican governors, those states have outperformed by far states run by Democrat governors. And what Arizona deserves is a Republican governor who will keep taxes down, who will support school choice, who will bring companies into the economy to create opportunity. And that is a heck of a lot better than undoing everything that Governor Ducey has done. And therefore, as I have supported a handful of candidates and campaigned with them, what I find is the same issues everywhere we go, is that Virginians and Americans are worried about the cost of living that is running away from them, making ends meet, safety in their community, and they're worried about education. And these are Republican values with common sense solutions that I think Americans want and Arizonans. But that's why they're going to be much better off with Kari Lake.
And until recently, I thought that standing up for democracy and the rule of law and election integrity was also a Republican value. This isn't a disagreement over tax policy. This woman doesn't believe in legitimate elections. She says that she wouldn't have certified for the election for Joe Biden, which is nothing that you would do. And it's nothing that the current Republican governor did. This isn't just about like, oh, we have a disagreement on education. This is about democracy.
Well, let me just step back. First of all, this is not about January 6th, right? January 6th was an abomination. And in fact, anybody who committed violence on January 6th and broke the law should be held fully accountable. This is about making sure that we understand that there is distrust in the election process. Let's just be clear. And oh, by the way, that distrust was expressed by Democrats in 2000 and 2016. I ran against an election denier.
But this is different. But this was an effort by the president of the United States to undo the election. It's not just rhetoric or a vote here and there. It was an action. You know this. It was an effort by Donald Trump to hold on to power.
We absolutely saw it was an effort by Donald Trump to hold on to power. But let's first get something straight. Yes, I want the togetherness, and I think you approach Trumpists, non-Trumpists, and you want to approach all of those. But here's the main issue. First of all, let's correct something that a good journalist that Jake Tapper normally is. Let's slide that states run by Republicans are doing much better than state run by Democrats. In other words, red states doing better than blue states is a fallacy and a farce. The reality is just like Alabama and Mississippi and all these other red states are beggar states. In other words, they take more money from the federal government in order to keep their taxes lower so that they don't need to provide the services to their own. So those of you in blue states, you are supporting those in red states so that they can go out there and market themselves as low tax havens. So let's get it clear. These red states take more from the federal government than they put in. These red states have poorer health outcomes than we have in the blue states. These red states have more crimes by guns than the blue states. So Jake Tapper made that lie go by on our national airwaves unchallenged, which means after this show, a lot of folks are going to leave that show thinking, oh, Republican states are doing better than blue states. Maybe on these marginal races, we should give them a chance. So let's correct the record first of all. And everything stated here can be corroborated by the numbers. You can do the research, not just take what I'm saying at face value. What makes Youngkin much more dangerous than, let's say, a DeSantis is DeSantis outwardly wants to look like a Trumpist. He wants to look like a Trump person with a bit more intellect. But you know what? Glenn Youngkin already has the moderate mantra that the media has helped post on him. And you have a Liz Cheney who is saying, oh, Youngkin is doing a good job as a conservative in his state. And then she criticizes him for supporting Trumpists and election deniers. He got the best of both worlds right there. And what is that? He gets the moderate kudos. So all those people who are thinking, oh, he's a Trump guy. No, you don't have to worry about him being a Trump guy. He's a moderate guy. The mainstream media has already said he's a moderate guy. And then he goes against the no Trumpist people and support a Carol Lake in Arizona and support a lot of other election denying candidates and many others, right? So he goes ahead and he establishes his MAGA bona fides. So therefore, when election time comes around, he has a large percentage of all these groups within the Republican Party that a DeSantis wouldn't have, given DeSantis's pure and preferred allegiance to Donald Trump. So we have to be careful because there's no difference between Donald Trump, DeSantis, or Youngkin. They all support the same policies that decimate the middle class. You heard him say tax cuts. You heard him say that somehow they believe in families, though the policies that they support nowhere comes close to even what we consider marginal in Build Back Better and other types of democratic policies that really helps people. They're still talking about employment. Earlier in the interview, he spoke about, we need to get more people employed because the employment, the utilization rate goes down. Utilization rate is how many of the available population that could be in the workforce is actually in the workforce. And it has dropped from 67 to, I think, 62%. That percentage drop, however, don't let it fool you. That is how they document it. It doesn't count people that have decided to have new careers as if in front of a screen that nobody's recording them has been gainfully employed, but they're at home and they're making some money by doing the things they want to do at the same time that they're taking care of their kids. In other words, they get the best of both worlds, what the corporatocracy is unable to give them because of the lack of flexibility, because they want to own you. They want to enslave you in the form of indentured servitude to be at the office and do what you have to do for them. So My fear, and again, when it comes to crime, all of that, it isn't better in these red states. My fear is the lack of aggressiveness, the lack of certitude, the lack of too many Democrats going out there and asserting what they've done, asserting what they will do, and not fighting the battle on a defensive posture, but fighting it on an offensive posture. It is the GOP policies, that are causing the deaths of our people with lack of health care, with the inability to fund water sources, with the inability to have energy prices at a reasonable price by doing things within the energy industry that will force them not to gouge the American people. But if you don't want to nationalize these companies, go ahead and windfall profit tax out of them and then give back that money to the American people from whom it was stolen. Again, Youngkin is so much more dangerous than DeSantis and Trump combined because he comes in a package that speaks extremely well, extremely moderate, and also knows how to lie without even blinking an eye. Absolutely so, folks. Absolutely so. What time is it? It is 3:34. I'll go ahead and do our ask right now, and then we'll continue the program in a little bit. But I have a message for Brother Paul Fleming. 64 ounces, not too hard to drink, brother. It's not too hard to drink. It is okay. All right, let's see what else we got here. Para ver. Men, if you are 45 or older, get your colonoscopy. You know what is so interesting? A report came on my screen yesterday that says the death rates with those who do colonoscopies and those who don't do. I don't know if I should say this because I don't want to restrict have anybody have an excuse not to go get one. So I'm not going to say this because, we all need to be cognizant of our platform. I won't say anything on that. But anyway, I hear you, Paul. Many of you are 45 or older, get your colonoscopy. Breach says most representatives don't have values. West says True Hunter laptop. Daniel says Liz Cheney is so consumed by her self-righteousness, she is calling others in her own party evil because they are. The nectar of left smug righteousness is a sweet elixir. Whoa, wow, that sounds, actually, Daniel, those words sounded kind of sweet. I love the way that sounded. You're wrong, but it sounded great. All right, let's see. As conditions worsen, experts argue that establishing a demilitarized zone around Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant is key to reducing a nuclear accident. I agree. Last year, nuclear energy share of global electricity generation dropped below 10% for the first time in 4 decades. Its peak in 1996 was 17.5%. That was the time when they had like 67 reactors to be built in the U.S. That kind of disappeared, right? To be clear, most Republicans have gone to, this is from Rudden, most Republicans have gone the path of obstructionism. And also, then you have the large fraction of Republicans who have fallen into right-wing bubble conspiracy Trump. All right, Alistair Waters says, that's a communication. West says Liz Cheney betrayed her party and she betrayed her party. I agree 100%. And she's a hero for doing it. Peggy Lopez says red states are welfare states. Yes, they are. Daniel Ledo says, are you absolutely sure you can discern any of those things? What things? Let's see. Paul Fleming says Republicans are for nothing but control of women and people of color, no matter what it takes. As usual, they will use religion as a front. Kathy Courtney, welcome, Kathy. How are you doing? Hey, Kathy, we got a lot of work to do with this Medicare. I read an article today on my KPFT show that says Medicare Advantage could overtake Medicare by next year. We have to stop that. We can't have a majority of people on Medicare Advantage. We can't give all this money away for free. Someone should make a list of red states versus blue states and economic inequality. Oh, we do. We have that list. I have it. Go search for red state, blue state on egbertowillies.com. I already did the analysis. Well, I followed the analysis. Not I did the analysis. I followed the analysis. It is true. red states, using Mitt Romney's parlance, red states are bigger, actually, takers. That's what he called it, takers. All right, let's see. What else we got here? Daniel Lado, that's a reply. Let's see what else we got here. Scrolling down. Kathy Courtney says, off topic, but being researching Texas candidates, these pricks must go. Glenn Hager, yes, he must go. Yeah, agree. All right, let's continue here. I'm scrolling down. Tell you what, let me do my ask, and then I'll continue there. So let's go ahead and do my ask. Politics Done Right depends on you to keep doing what we do. What do? We make sure to keep, number one, the internet seeded with blogs and information to counter the right and to present what progressives represent for the benefit of us all to everybody so that it's not misled by any other entity. We make sure and populate that internet with blogs, with videos, with all these other things to make sure that we are informed and to counter everything that you normally hear that are lying at the right. We also make sure to create articles in magazines, articles in newspapers all around the country to ensure, again, that our message gets out there. Last but not least, we also write books. As you see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom, How to Make America Utopia, are two of the many books that I've written on these issues. So please support us in one of many ways. Numero uno, you can support us at PayPal, either one time or monthly. Go to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. You can support us on Patreon. That is politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Patreon is spelled Patreon. You can support us by becoming a part of our YouTube channel, going to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube, or you can support us in many other forms that you can find at politicsdoneright.com/support. Be sure to visit our store, politicsdoneright.com/store, and get our books at politicsdoneright.com/books. Politics Done. All right. Hey, welcome aboard, Charlie Lindahl. I'm going to check that out. Amsterdam is the movie about what happened with Roosevelt when they tried to overthrow the government then. I heard about it. I never saw the movie. I'll look at it, but they'll try to do the same thing again. Carl Cox says, it's amazing that so many highly educated voters like Walker. It's a thing about sticking it to the lips. I mean, ideology actually makes one less intelligent, right? If you are very ideological, meaning you can't change. Like, look, if my right-wingers tell me something that works better than something that I believe in as a progressive, I would definitely change immediately. Bruce Pollard is here. Welcome aboard, Brother Pollard. Everybody check out the movie Lindahl is talking about. I think it's important. I followed the story before. All right, we have another video, and this one here is about an author. Well, let's see which one should I do first. Professor, which one was this one here? Let's see if that's the right one. Yeah, I think that's the right one. Professor, which one was that one? There we go. Actually, yes, I like this one. This one is about the billionaires. Anyway, let's go ahead and hear the first piece, because what he's going to talk about is all those people that took from the government and they made it, and now they're trying their best not to give back. Check this out, and then we will talk about it on the other side. Well, let's see. We'll talk about it on the other side with Scott Galloway.
Scott, in your new book, you discuss the hold that you say big tech has over the American economy and why you're still hopeful for the country's future. You write in part this, though. The nation once idolized astronauts and civil rights leaders and inspired hope and empathy. Now it worships tech innovators who generate billions of dollars and move financial markets. The elites are digging in, protecting their growing fortunes from the risks, the very markets they claim to support. Although it's out of fashion, I remain an American exceptionalist. This country really is different in ways that make it a city on a hill, a beacon for the optimistic and the innovative. I often say that optimism is America's superpower, and this optimism really is powerful. Science tells us that it can extend an individual's life by 8 years. Imagine what 330 million optimists can accomplish. I don't disagree, but I want to back up and ask you what the biggest risk is from modern technology.
Well, as a society becomes wealthier and more educated, its reliance on the super being and church attendance goes down. But our questions, Mika, remain as complicated as they've ever been. And so into that void slips technology. I don't understand how my iPhone works, but I know it's amazing. And I would argue that the new Jesus Christ of our era are Steve Jobs and Elon Musk. And it's important to have heroes. But it's fairly apparent that technology companies and our tech innovators get to play by a different set of rules. They engage in antitrust and monopoly abusive behavior. They commit securities fraud on Twitter. They are the first to criticize our government, not appreciating that whether it's Google, Apple, or Tesla, it was EV credits, incredible forward-leaning investments from our great middle class into GPS or DARPA, the internet, or dividends from the space program, that essentially that created a thin layer of innovation on top of great American middle-class investors in the form of the most successful VC in history, the U.S. government. Our most loyal Americans are veterans because they've invested the most in America. Unfortunately, I find that our least patriotic individuals are our most blessed, and that is tech innovators who are the first to criticize the country that has given them so much. So I would argue we need more regulation around technology companies, and generally speaking, we need to push back on tech leaders who say government should just get out of the way. They didn't ask us to get out of the way when we gave them $450 million loans to start their companies, structure acts to build charging stations or EV tax credits. America is by far the only place you could get traction that these companies have enjoyed. And I believe that it's time for them to start recognizing that incredible blessing of what it means to start a company and be a citizen here in the United States.
Now, again, that answers your question, Mike Psaki. A lot of the success of these guys were based on government investment in not only education at universities, but tax breaks given so that their starters could get off the ground. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody. Oops, there we go. All right, let's continue. Lee Grant says, why are the most progressive cities like Portland, Seattle, and San Francisco full of crime, homelessness, needleness, and filth? Why do businesses and people leave the places? Okay, let's correct. You pick up all the cities around the state, the United States, big cities. Tell me which ones are run by mayors, Democratic mayors or Republican mayors, and see what you find. It's something endemic within cities where you have a conglomeration of people of many different classes, where you have a lot of poor people. It doesn't matter if you're in Appalachia or if you are in the blue states. If you go to West Virginia, the same criminality you find with drugs, etc., in Appalachia, you find in the rough parts of the ghettos and the rough part of the barrios. So please, again, do your homework. Do your research. It's important if we are a place of truth. Please, I urge you, when you have Mike Psaki make a statement like people should be flocking to Venezuela, he misses the point. It shows a shallow understanding of history. Do you understand what all the oil companies did in Venezuela? Did you understand what the oligarchy did in Venezuela in selling their oil for cheap as the people suffered, the oil that should belong to everybody? Do you understand that here in America, the oil underneath the ground that should belong to us all is going to just a few? I wish all of you would come on right in the same boat with me. We are in the same boat. Lee Grant, brother Psaki, brother Ledo, you are being used. You are being used to prop up people that don't give a damn about you. They don't care about your mama, your father, your granny, your daughter, or whatever. They just take from you. You could go ahead and say, well, I don't care. I'm not asking for anything from them. That's not the point. You don't have to ask for anything from them. They are taking your birthright. And Chavez wasn't no oligarch. Read history. Go speak to the Venezuelans who benefited from Chavez, not the ones who were a part of the plutocracy of Venezuela, the ones who had the right hue in Venezuela to succeed because of the way the system worked. I am from that part of the world. I'm very well aware of it. Don't speak of which you don't know. Don't speak of which you don't know what the corporations in America have done across the world. Don't speak of what you don't know about the bauxite ripoff in Jamaica. Don't speak of what you don't know about the fruit ripoff throughout Central America. Don't. Because what it does is it proves what too many already thought about many. That they're just parrots of those who take advantage of them. And violent crime, particularly in cities, utilize guns, right? And where does the guns come from? The people that support the Republican Party in general. You're right. Oh God, Chavez put people who didn't have a clue about running oil company. No, that's not the problem. The problem is that it was sabotaged. Chavez nationalized, wanted to make sure that the oil in the ground belongs to the people. Okay? All right, remember that. He wanted people to understand that the oil in the ground belonged to people, but America could not let a country so flooded with oil have its people control that oil, because Americans themselves would start to ask on the vast millions and millions and millions of acres of American land with oil and natural resources. If we establish a foundation that the ownership of what's under the ground belong to we the people, what that means is Americans would start to say, why did we allow 3M? Why did we allow Exxon, Shell, and all these others to take away the oil that belongs to all of us? Give us a simple give us a simple licensing fee and take that oil out and give the profits to a few. It's the grand theft of American resources. And we sit down and we take it. We sit down and take it. The oil in the ground should belong to us all. And we sit down and take it that corporations give us a little fee and then go make billions on it. Who is the idiot in the game? Please, folks, learn, educate ourselves. It's so important. It is so important. Shakula Hairstylist says, Hugo Chavez helped me destroy truckloads of Trump ballots by telling them away on his global pirate ship. You'll never get them in out of the fifth dimension. Oh, Lord, my God, my God, my God, my God. Julius Robinson says, oh, we are still being taken to the cleaners in Jamaica, Patricia E. Forker says, I listen and smile. Thank you very much, Patricia. Peggy Lopez says, we are a sinking boat because so many of us fall for the lies of the grifting power holders in the country, systemic grifting. It is so sad because these are not dumb people that allow themselves to believe the crap that they believe. That, they allow these folks to touch their prejudice straw to get them to make silly decisions so that they just rip Johnson said it, right? Johnson is the one who said, I just make a white man believe he's above a black man or something. This is from Johnson. This is not me. This is former President Johnson saying this. And he said, and then we can pick his pocket. And look how they pick their pockets. Look how they pick their pockets. The problem is, as they go down, we go down too. That's why I wrote the book, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors. We have to save them. We have got to save them. Because if they go down, we go down too. I mean, we have really, really, really have to try to get it. President Lyndon Johnson says, thank you for the comment, Michael. It says, if you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. He'll give him give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you. Quote, Lyndon Baines Johnson, former president of the United States of America. He gets it. And that has been true for such a long time. And we are living it now. You look at Mike Cisak and what Mike Cisak's find all the excuses for them to pick his pocket. A good farmer. Mike Cisak is a farmer, a nice guy. He works hard. The policies of the Republican Party is screwing him. But they look at him and say, hey, Mike Cisak, look at the ghetto. They're taking all your money. Look at the black dudes, Mike Cisak, they're taking your money. Look at the libs, Mike Cisak, they're taking your money while they are ripping you dry. And Mike Cisak says, okay, let me bend over for you. Look, I'm telling you, folks, I'm telling you. We have to talk to our peeps because that's what it's all about. Egberto, do you think your blame the guns excuse the criminal strategy will work in November? I think no. That argument will probably not have any effect. I'm a progressive. Blame the guns, excuse the criminal. I don't believe in blaming the guns, excuse the criminal at all. I mean, I don't think that's a message that should be put out there at all. I am saying the message is, and again, look, anybody who buys anybody who, I had another video, but Lindell makes me want to say something here because this is very upsetting to the election. The Republicans are great at taking people like progressives off message. Let me explain. They flood the stuff with guns, right? Then we get an increase in crime, right? We have an increase in gun crimes. Crime rate is going down, but the media is complicit as well. The media would have you believe that the crime rate is going crazy. It's not true, but it's a perception that the media has. So we have to work with perception. So if we are going to work with perception, we need to get ahead of the message. And the message can't be, oh my God, these judges are just releasing people on bail. That's the message they want you to put out. What I am telling, and I've told many judges this, and they're just quiet. They're just sitting down waiting to be slaughtered. I've spoken to at least 10 judges in Harris County saying, this is the message. And let me tell you what the message is. The message is, we are following the law. You guys wrote the bail laws. You guys are responsible for the laws in Austin, Texas. You create the laws that untie my hands from giving these steps to decide if I should give somebody bail or not. Change the law. So therefore, where is the law made? In Austin, by whom? A Republican Congress. Immediately put the blame where it belongs. And when it comes to crime, you're not excusing the criminals. What you're saying is you are arming the criminals. The message is Republicans are arming criminals. I mean, it doesn't take rocket science to understand the message. 1, Republicans are arming criminals. 2, Republicans are writing the laws that judges are to use to decide if somebody that requires bail or not. And by the way, we can't allow it to be done based on these income. I mean, it's not hard at all to create the messaging, but you have to be assertive. You have to be on the attack. If we came out on the attack immediately, in other words, okay, if we had commercials, ads on TV right now saying gun crimes are up, who's arming the criminals? Who are arming the criminals? The guy who said you don't need a background check for a gun, just go buy one. Who's arming not a background check. You can if your background check is clean. Who's arming the criminals? Republicans are arming the criminals because they made it easy for you to get a gun without a license. I mean, it's not hard to make the argument, Mr. Lindahl. So what I'm saying, I'm going to repeat your message, Brother Lindahl. You said, Egberto, do you think your blame the guns excuse on criminals strategy will work in November? No, because that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is Republicans are arming the criminals. You see, when you're writing, right, they tell you can write in the active voice or the passive voice. And the active voice of writing is more effective than the passive voice of writing. Henceforth, in Texas, right now, it should be Republicans are killing their citizens by denying them health care. That's an active statement. Active statement number 2, Republicans are arming. I quoted from another answer. No, okay. Republicans are arming criminals. Número 2. Número 3. Republicans are taking over. Sorry about that, brother. Republicans are taking over the bodies of women. These are active statements, assertive statements, not defensive statements. Too often, Democrats are on the defensive for something they have no need to be on the defensive about. Oh, right. No, I hear you, Charlie. I apologize. I thought that was coming from you. You're doing a copy. And thank you for sharing that across the board. Shakula here, Sally says, we have harsher background checks to work at Walmart than to buy a gun. There you go. Mike Cisak, yo, remember when I said a few minutes ago that you're conspiracy junk here? Soros, man, that whole thread is right-wing bubble. Yeah, it is right-wing bubble conspiracy. So folks, we are at 4 o'clock and I missed one video. We'll do it tomorrow. No, I mean, I'm Charlie. You know, I love you, brother. I love all of my folks here, right wing, left wing, or otherwise, because we have to win this game. We got to win this stuff together. That's how we got to do it, brothers. We got to do it together. And again, I repeat to my Democrats and to the Democratic judges, for those of you who just stayed quiet, I get your material. I read your material. All the judges. I read your material. And I must say that I'm extremely disappointed. I'm very disappointed from my good friend Lina Hidalgo, my good friend and my good judges that I'm the other judges, that you're not out there on the offensive. The offensive says, you are arming criminals, numero uno. You write the laws that judges abide bail by. You do all these things. It is in your command. This is a state where the laws are written by you. How the hell do you lose that argument? Then, of course, Governor Newsom had to come into Texas and tell the truth. Red states are the criminal capitals of the world. There's more in the red states that occur here. So it is great. What I'm saying, Democrats, you still have 3 weeks to be on the assertive. You have 3 weeks to get your act together. Within that 3 weeks, there's early voting, so you need to start now. You need to start now. In Texas, the message is fourfold. Republicans are killing their citizens by not giving them health care, passing the Medicare expansion to the Affordable Care. Republicans are arming the criminals with guns by having unlicensed guns, not needing a license for guns. Republicans are taking over the bodies of women against their will. And Republicans are not investing in the infrastructure, henceforth a grid on the verge of collapse. You just hammer that in commercials over and over, an assertive message. And you know what? For the people that are thinking and knowing that what you're saying is true, you win. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.